In Welcome to the Monkey House, the world is overpopulated. The normal in this story is mass birth control and suicide, which is encouraged by the government to deal and solve the overpopulation. Quote, ethical birth control pills, the only legal form of birth control, make people numb from the waist down, end quote. The purpose of the birth control is to take the pleasure out of sexual desires. The government is also pursuing a criminal named Billy the Poet, who has rejected the drugs and refuses to take them. And he is someone that wants to have sex with one of the ethical suicide hostesses. The hostesses are old, but look very young, and are virgins, all of them. And they are also highly trained with self-defense, and they are very tall as well. Hostesses Nancy and Mary had been told about Billy by Sheriff Croker. Nancy had gotten a letter in the mail, which is from Billy the Poet, containing inappropriate lyrics to a song. Billy knew that everyone was after him, but he couldn't have cared less at all. Nancy had been attending a meeting with her client named Foxy Grandpa. It turns out that Foxy Grandpa had actually turned out to be Billy the Poet, but he was in disguise. He forced her into the sewers. Billy has a gang of ex-hostesses, which carry her upstairs into a museum bedroom. Quote, the man with the shears cut ropes that fenced off the narrow bed. They put Nancy into a bed, and two men held Nancy while a woman gave her a knockout shot. End quote. After that, Nancy had asked what she hadn't been injected with. Eventually, they told her that it was a truth serum, and eventually she would become unconscious from it. Quote, moments later, she asked the woman thickly what was in the needle. What was in the needle, Honey Bunch? Honey Bunch, it is called a truth serum, end quote. Before she was completely knocked out, she was asked how it felt being a virgin, which she answered that it was, quote, pointless, end quote. When Nancy had woke up, her birth control was worn off. Billy had held her down and raped her. Quote, he didn't hurt her. He deflowered her with a clinical skill she found ghastly, end quote. He said that he has done it to many of his ex-hostesses, and that they are all thankful and grateful to him, and that one day Nancy will also be grateful to him as well.
The characterization of Nancy McLuhan. Nancy McLuhan is the protagonist of Welcome to the Monkey House. She is a suicide hostess at the Ethical Suicide Parlor. Nancy is, quote, pretty, tough-minded, and highly intelligent, end quote. To qualify as a hostess, you, quote, have to be plump and rosy and at least 6 feet tall, end quote. Nancy is described to have strawberry blonde hair. Her uniform consists of, quote, white lipstick, heavy eye makeup, a purple body stocking, and black leather boots, end quote. When nothing heads look at Nancy, the only thing that comes to mind is sex. Nancy is, quote, an expert at judo and karate, end quote. If given a chance, Nancy is confident she can, quote, break Billy's neck with her thumb and forefinger, end quote. Even after she is captured by Billy, Nancy imagines herself, quote, breaking every bone in his little body, maybe even shooting him with his own gun, end quote. These lines show her competitive nature as well as her hatred for Billy and his actions. Nancy is a round and dynamic character. She undergoes an important change in her beliefs after her encounter with Billy. As a representative of government and society, Nancy is uninterested in sex. She disapproves of the nothingheads that refuse to take their ethical birth control pills. She believes that, quote, the world can't afford sex anymore, end quote. Quote, I may be a nothinghead now, but that doesn't mean I have to think or